Chapter 2, Lesson 8, Financial Literacy, Simple Interest. You will be able to solve problems involving simple interest. Our simple interest formula is I equals PRT. I stands for the simple interest. I for interest. T is another easy one to figure out. This stands for time. The trick here, or the key here, is that it has to be written in years. R stands for rate. This is your percent in decimal form. Whenever we use any sort of percent in a problem, in an equation, we have to put it in decimal form first. And lastly, P stands for the principal. And the principal is a fancy word for starting amount. So it's what you start with, okay? Complete the following problems. Helpful hint, change the percents to decimals first. So here we go. Arnold puts $580 into a savings account. The account pays 3% simple interest. How much interest will he earn in 5 years? We're going to start with our formula I equals PRT. What I like to do is put all my variables off to the side and figure out what I know and what I am searching for. So let's reread the problem. Arnold puts $580 into a savings account. That's what he's starting with. That is the principal. I'm going to write that next to P. The account pays 3% simple interest. That's the rate. Just because it says simple interest next to it doesn't mean that's your interest. Your interest is going to be a dollar amount. When you have a percentage, that automatically is your rate. Now remember, your rate we must write as a decimal. So take that decimal point, move it 2 digits to the left, and we get 0.03. How much interest will he earn in 5 years? Time would be 5 years, and it's already in the years form, so we don't have to change it. Which means I am searching for interest. Okay? So I equals PRT. I'm going to actually leave this as I. So let me erase this over here. They're already variables, so there's no need to change them. Equals 580 is the principal. The rate as a decimal is 0.03. And the time is 5 years. I equals, all you need to do is multiply these three numbers together. So 580 times 0.03 times 5 equals 87. So the simple interest is 87. The question is asking how much interest will he earn? So our answer is $87. Now the second part is a little bit tricky. It's based off of this original problem, only the thing that changes is the time. So we have I, P, R, and T. We still don't know I. The principal is still 580. The rate is still 3% or 0.03. And the time is 6 months. Now, we need time in years. We have 6 months. Well, how many months in a year? There are 12 months. So whenever your time is written in months, all you need to do is take your months and divide it by 12. So you'll have the fraction 6 over 12. If it were 4 months, it would be 4 over 12. 8 months would be 8 over 12. Now let's solve it. Make sure you're writing the formula every time. If you write it every time, you will memorize it. I equals PRT. I equals 580 times 0.03 times 6 over 12. We need to multiply them together. So we have 580 times 0.03 times. To do a fraction in your calculator, put it in parentheses. So parentheses, 6 divided by 12, close parentheses. So we have 580 times 0.03 times 6 over 12 equals 8.7. So how much interest will he earn in 6 months? We're talking money, so $8.70. Interest on loans and credit cards. Rondo borrowed $6,300 from the bank for a new car. The interest rate is 6% per year. How much simple interest will they pay if he takes 2 years to repay the loan? Now, when you buy something like a car or a house, generally speaking, we don't have the cash to pay it. So what we do is we take out a loan from a bank. Now, the bank's not just going to give us money. We have to pay them back. But what they do is not only do we pay them back what we borrowed, we also have to pay interest on what we borrowed. So they make some money off of us. So the faster you pay things off, the better. So let's figure this one out. We're still going to do I equals PRT. So let's write out our variables. He borrowed $6,300. That's the starting amount. The interest rate is 6%. Remember, 6% as a decimal is 0.06. And how much simple interest will they pay if he takes 2 years to repay the loan? So again, we're finding interest. I equals, make that look like an I. I equals PRT. Actually, I'm going to move this over slightly so I have more room. I'll do my work over here. Okay. I equals, the principal is $6,300. The rate is 0.06 or 0.06, and the time is 2 years. Multiply them together. $6,300 times 0.06 times 2 equals 756. So I equals 756. That's how much interest he has to pay. Now, the second question. How much will Rondell end up paying the bank for his loan? Now remember, he has to pay them the amount he borrowed. He borrowed $6,300. But in interest alone, the bank is making $756 off of Rondell. So what he's actually paying, to find out what he's actually paying, we need to add the two amounts together. So he is actually paying $7,056 for that car. So a car that costs $6,300 in these circumstances costs $7,056. And for as long as he has that, if he has it on loan for longer than 2 years, he would end up paying more. So it's always great to pay up front, to not charge anything, but in today's society, it's not exactly realistic to be able to do that. So we take out loans. B. An office manager charged $425 worth of office supplies on a credit card. The credit card has an interest rate of 9.9%. How much money will he owe at the end of 1 month if he makes no other changes on the card and does not make a payment? I, P, R, T. He charged $425. That's the original amount. Interest rate was 9.9%. Change that to a decimal. Move it over 2 to the left. 0.099. And time is 1 month. Now, it's 1 month. Remember, we take our months and we put them over 12 because there are 12 months in a year. And we are finding the interest. I equals PRT. I equals 425 times 0.099 times 1 over 12. So let me clear, 425 times 0.099 times parentheses 1 divided by 12, close parentheses, equals 3.50625. So I equals 3.50625. Let me just double check that. Okay. We are talking about money, which means we round to this digit. There we go. So it would be $3.51. Now this is just the interest. The question is not asking for the interest. The question is asking how much money will he owe. He never made a payment. It said he does not make a payment. So he still owes the $425 in addition to the $3.51 interest. So if he doesn't pay his card, he actually owes now $428.51. And this is why it's strongly recommended that when the day finally comes that you get a credit card, you always pay it off each month. A little life lesson there. Now, sometimes you'll be asked to find the rate. Helpful hint. You have to convert the rate to a percent at the end. I don't know why that word is there. We'll just ignore it. So you have to convert the rate to a percent at the end. When you get a rate, you're going to get a decimal. When we did these problems, we changed them to decimals. Okay, so when you find the rate, you will get a decimal, which means you would then have to move the decimal 2 to the right to find the rate, the percentage. I, P, R, T. Lewis is taking on a car loan for $5,000. That is the principal. He plans on paying off the car in 2 years. At the end of 2 years, Lewis would have paid $300 in interest. What is the simple interest rate on the car loan? So this time we're solving for R. I equals PRT. This time we have I, it's 300. The principal is 5,000. We don't know the rate, I'll leave it as R, and the time is 2 years. Now this one we have to solve slightly different. We need to first only have one number on this side. Multiplication is commutative, so we can rearrange and multiply in any order. So I'm going to multiply 5,000 times 2, which would give us 10,000, and bring down the R. Bring down the rest of the equation. Now it's a one-step equation. We're going to divide by 10,000 on both sides. And we get 0.03. Now remember, this is the decimal form. I want the percent. To change this to a percent, we move that decimal point 2 to the right and throw a percent sign next to it. So 3% is the rate. Maggie is taking out a student loan for $2,600. She plans on paying off the loan in 3 years. At the end of 3 years, Maggie will have paid $390 in interest. What is the simple interest rate on the student loan? The principal is $2,600. Time is 3 years. And $390 is the interest. We are solving for rate. I equals PRT. We have I, it's 390, equals principal is 2,600. R we don't know. And time is 3. We need to multiply those together first. Let me bring everything else down. 2,600 times 3, 7,800. Bring down the R. Divide both sides by 7,800. $390 divided by 7,800. 0.05. Again, we need to change it to a decimal. Move it a percent. Move it 2 to the right, and we get 5%. Letter C. Samantha received a loan from a bank for $4,500. That's the principal. She plans on paying off the loan in 4 years. That's the time. At the end of 4 years, Samantha will have paid $900 in interest. What is the simple interest rate on the bank loan? I equals PRT. I is 900. P is 4,500. We don't know R. And T is 4. Let's take care of that. 900 equals 18,000. Bring down the R. Get R by itself by dividing by 18,000. We get 0.05. Again, move it 2 to the right, and we get 5%.